Hello everyone and welcome back to another Babbling Irons video, and today some pretty breaking news. It's a player that we've been targeting for a while. We were wondering whether we were going to put a bid in with the price tag, but we did, and it's come back that we've had a bid rejected for Fulham's Joao Palhinha. Now, it was reported earlier that it was going to be around 40 million, and then it came out that it's actually going to be up to kind of 45 million. Crazy figures in my opinion for someone like Palhinha. I'm really surprised we went that high to start with, and I'm surprised that Fulham have just flat out rejected it. But I guess that's what you're going to do on the first bid of someone anyway. But yeah, Palhinha is a player we've spoke about a lot on this channel. It's been a player that's been identified more of a Moyes target rather than a Tim Steidten target. And it's someone that Moyes really likes and wanted to bring in as that kind of first Declan Rice replacement to play as kind of the six. So 45 million, we're not messing about. I mean, that's almost half of the Rice money straight away as a bid for Palhinha, a man who's, 28 now, had a good season with Fulham, but we've spoke about him many times on this channel. So if you want to go watch the full in-depth breakdown of why we think we shouldn't be signing Palhinha, go and check that out on our YouTube channel. But yeah, 45 million is crazy. And I'll be really surprised if we go back in. The sources are kind of saying that it will take around 50 to 55 million to get the deal done. I do not think we should be spending 50 to 55 million on Palhinha. As good as a player he is and as good as he would be for us, we just need to be smarter with our money and start building for the future. We've said it so many times, and Palhinha just isn't that type of player. Although he's still got a few years left in him to play kind of the top elite level and be a really good six for us, it's just not what we need. And we kind of discussed it before. Palhinha is more of the Souček replacement rather than the Declan Rice replacement when you kind of compare the statistics from last season. So for me, 45 million, we should be walking away from that deal now. We tested the water with a very good bid. Fulham, to be fair, they're keeping hold of one of their best players. They're saying no, absolutely have the right to do that. There's this big misconception now, particularly from the Arsenal fan base, that, oh, they should be demanding 80 million, 90 million. It's what West Ham did with Rice. It's not what we did with Rice. We said Rice's figure was a lot higher than 65 to 70 million from the very start. I don't know why they keep saying it would be 70 to 80 million to get the deal done. Wasn't true. It was always going to take a bid of over 100 million to land Rice. So not comparable, but it does mean we do have funds to play with. So of course, clubs are going to be aware of that and they're going to try and squeeze the most out of us. But that doesn't mean we have to pay it. And it doesn't mean we can't find better alternatives or better options out there. And one thing that's interesting is that after that kind of breaking news came out, there was something else that was reported. Another player we've discussed on this channel, Youssouf Fofana. Now, obviously plays for Monaco, and it's now coming out that he's emerged as a player of significant interest to West Ham. The 24-year-old could represent far better value for money over other targets should the Hammers exploit Tim Steidten's knowledge of the European market, and that coming from 90-minute football. So again, Youssouf Fofana, a player we have spoken about on this channel, a player that was linked to us maybe a month or so ago in a deal around 45 million. That is the player we should be going for if we're going to be spending 40 million on a player. 24 years old, an absolute beast of a midfielder, with room to develop. And, he's a similar caliber of age to Rice, similar profile, and would just be a much better signing. So I think we should be being focused on Tim Steidten now. Why have we brought him in if we're just going to go for the likes of Ward-Prowse, the likes of Palhinha, these David Moyes targets where, let's be honest, not much thought was gone into this. There was not much planning. It was kind of like, okay, let's look at the Premier League. Let's look who's done well, who can be trusted. Oh, James Ward-Prowse was captain for Southampton. We need a captain. Let's bring him in. It's not how our transfer strategy should work. We should be looking at profiles that fit the needs of developing the club and also develop the needs of what Moyes wants to play. Now, Tim Steidten's been brought in to do exactly that, to take that pressure off of Moyes, to give him those players. So I very highly doubt he's brought Palhinha to his attention after Moyes kind of scouted him himself. I really don't think Palhinha would be on Steidten's list. I think 45 million is a ridiculous amount of money to pay for him right now. But he had a good season in the Premier League with Fulham, so I understand them demanding what they're demanding. But for us, we've put in a very good bid. Fulham have said no. let's walk away and identify one of Tim Steiden's targets. That is the main thing I think that we should be doing, because otherwise we're going to end up in a never-ending circle. And, Southampton will start doing the same thing, where it was rumored the other day we were going to start bidding 25 million for him. They're just going to say no, and they're just going to demand like 40 to 45 million, which we just should not pay. We should not pay. There's so much better value out there in the transfer market, away from the Premier League a lot of the time. Again, we've said our top 10 Declan Rice replacements in 2-part videos, so go check those out as well. But yeah, it's interesting. You look at a club like Bournemouth, just about to sign Kirkes, a player we identified to come in at left back, if we were going to scout that position. And they're just making some really smart signings. I don't think they've signed a player over the age of 25 so far. They've signed, 4 or 5 really good, young, promising players. They're targeting Alex Scott, another player we've mentioned on this channel. So it just seems they're kind of tweaking their transfer strategy a little bit better than ours. And we've got the resources to do it. We've got the resources to play smart. We've got Tim Steiden's knowledge to play smart. We just need everyone to be on the same page. And that's what it feels like is lacking at the moment. We're kind of panicking a little bit. And we shouldn't be, because we expected this to happen. We expected to lose our captain, and we expected to lose him for a big chunk of money. So everybody should be on the same page. It's kind of like, well, David Sullivan's pulling in this direction, Moyes is pulling in kind of this direction, and then you've got Tim Steiden who's come in kind of in the middle, trying to connect it all together, but it's just not connecting at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see, because, Steiden joined 1st of July. We're almost 20 days into the month. So you'd hope that he'd have, kind of established some sort of authority here, some sort of know-how in terms of what he wants to bring to the club and how Moyes wants to play next season. I think that's the 2 key factors as to what Steiden should be doing before he even starts to draw up a list of players, is identify what Moyes wants and needs to play with, and then also kind of calibrate that with the transfer fees we have available. So I don't know, Palhinha for 40 to 45 million as a first bid. I was impressed by that bid. That's more than I would have expected us to go in for at the start. And Fulham have said no. So walk away, move on. And someone like Youssouf Fofana, we've mentioned, that would be a much better deal. 24 years old, much more potential, a better all-round player already. It just makes sense to start looking away from the Premier League. Now, I understand people often will say, well, I'd rather go for the Prem proven route because we've signed these kind of high caliber European players before and it hasn't worked. It's not down to the players a lot of the time. It's down to A, the system we're playing, and B, just the management of those players. Seb Haller, a prime example of that, was brought in with a lot of hype, 45 million to West Ham. Didn't work out for him. Now, he's now thriving at Dortmund, a German giant. So there's no comparison as to the type of player that we brought in there was wrong. It wasn't. It was the correct signing. It was just not worked under Moyes or Pellegrini in that time. So there's players out there. That's why it's important for Steiden and Moyes to sit down together and identify what type of players they want to bring in, so transfers like Sebastian Haller don't happen. And we are still getting the caliber of Haller. You look at the likes of Agerd, Scamacca, Paqueta. These types of players are very high level players that we've recruited in the last year. There's no reason we can't continue that with European football next season. That's a very big factor into why I think we should be targeting outside the likes of Ward-Prowse and Palhinha. I think we can do better. As maybe some will say that's kind of arrogant. I don't think it is. We've had European football for 3 years in a row now. We've got the transfer funds to now do that. And, we've already got a selection of really, really good players. And obviously winning the Conference League last season does entice players as you have that kind of European champion background to your name. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that develops. I'll be surprised if we go back in for Palhinha. They're saying it's going to take around 50 million to get it done. So if that is the case, we're not far off. And it's whether Moyes would want to push that high and really get Palhinha. But again, it's a short-term solution. And there's no way we'll be able to sell Palhinha for more than 45, 50 million in 2-3 years' time. Absolutely no way. It'll be half of that max. So we need to start thinking about the future for once, start developing. We've got the oldest squad in the league. We've said it so many times. We need to start developing. And, players like Youssouf Fofana instead are much better players to go for. But yeah, that's our opinion. Let us know what you think in the comments. Would you like to go out for Palhinha with a second bid? Are you surprised that they've rejected it? Or would you like to see us kind of target someone like Yusuf Fofana or other players we have mentioned on the channel before? So yeah, leave a like on the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel as we are close to 1,000 subscribers now. Really appreciate all your support. And yeah, until next time, come on, you Irons.